out there! This is Wake Angel 2001, and unless you have been living under a rock, or don't really care about Sonic, that's possible, then you would have noticed that the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer has launched today. This is the improved trailer with Sonic's fixed look. The release date at the end of the trailer is February 14th, so that means that they didn't delay the movie any further. It's still coming out on Valentine's Day next year, so, you know, be happy about that. And because I don't want to have to worry about copyright bots or anything like that, I'm not actually going to have any footage of the trailer here. I'm going to be reacting to still images, just like I did the first time. So, before you watch my video, you can watch the trailer yourself if you haven't already. I will link it in the description below, just for reference. And, well, let's take a look at that trailer. Okay, so now that we've seen the trailer again, let's start reacting scene by scene. That looked good! Sorry to rip off Angry Joe here, but that looked good! I'm actually looking at the screenshots, which are just off camera, so I can, like, react in real time, but damn, that's awesome! Like, it's almost like if they asked Pixar to just make Sonic Generations again. That looks amazing! Like, that's, like, I don't think that you could actually put that in a video game. Like to render scenery that realistic, it would probably melt a PlayStation 4. So, yeah, but damn, that looked good. That's a fully realized, real-world, photorealistic Green Hill, checkerboard rocks and everything. And our first look at Sonic's new face. His eyes are significantly larger, his nose is longer, just like he was in the original things. You can see individual hedgehog quills, so he does have a more realistic texture about him. But he has much bigger eyes, and they found a good compromise. They aren't a single conjoined mono eye, but they do come pretty close together, and then the gap is bridged by a little bit of white fur between them. So it's creating the illusion of the mono eye without that uncanny valley, weird, like, cyclops with two irises kind of thing that he has going on. Because like I said, things that work in cartoons don't always work in live action. I think in the first time that they released a trailer, they were trying to do a Rocket Raccoon thing. They were trying to make Sonic look like a convincingly anthropomorphized creature, like an animal, a humanoid animal. But doing so made him not look like Sonic at all. So it just didn't work. And like I said, with other movies that did a cartoon adaptation in live action, like Woody Woodpecker and Garfield, like, you can't just take a cartoon character, stick it in the real world, and have everybody react like, oh, look at that animal that looks like a perfectly normal animal that I have encountered a million times, despite the fact that no other animal or creature in the world looks like that thing. I am looking at that thing like it's a perfectly natural animal. Yeah, like, anybody remember the Garfield movie? Anyone remember how they got Bill Murray to voice it, and they actually made a pretty decent looking Garfield, but then, like, Odie was just a regular Jack Russell Terrier, and there were no other cartoon animals in that movie, only Garfield, and how weird that was. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get out in the previous point, but yeah, this looks good. This looks really good. And our first full body look at Sonic the Hedgehog. No more overly long limbs, no weird attempting to get actual human musculature in there. He looks, well, I guess I'm gonna have to go the Detective Pikachu route. They convincingly made him look like a living thing with actual fur and like his eyes look like eyes and not glass. But he still looks true to Sonic the Hedgehog. He looks like Sonic, despite the fact that he also looks like something that can plausibly actually exist, not just a cartoon character. So, it's kind of the Detective Pikachu thing, where they made Pokemon look like actual living things without taking away the fact that they're still Pokemon. So, yeah, they found the compromise. Congratulations! Although, I think it's worth noting, before they released the original trailer, there were some leaks of what Sonic might look like in some older movie posters, and it kind of looked more like this than what it looked like in the first trailer. So I've heard some people saying that this might actually have been an earlier rendering of what they wanted to do, but then the executives probably decided that it looked too cartoonish, so they decided to try and Rocket Raccoon him up into a more realistic looking thing. And then when the fans reacted negatively to that, they went back to this model and probably just cleaned it up to make it look more realistic. I think that's what happened. Looks good. Okay, and by the way, he has gloves. His shoes do not have laces, and they have a red stripe going down the middle. He literally wears 2 articles of clothing, and I can't believe that it took them 2 attempts to get it right. But they got it right. Now, he still has blue arms, so I know some people are gonna criticize the blue arms, but hey, okay. I would have liked the skin-colored arms too. Like, I know, but hey, we accepted it with Sonic Boom. It wasn't the end of the world. Like, this looks a lot better than the first time, and it actually looks more true to classic Sonic than Sonic Boom Sonic did, because at least he's not, like, you know, taller and wrapped up in sports tape. I'm sorry, I'm still geeking out over the architecture, like the ramp mountains of Green Hill, and you can even see the little totem poles that have the random totem poles that are all over Green Hill too. I don't know. This is just scenery porn for me. Like a full cinematic realization of Green Hill. I mean, come on, that has to affect you. Like that has got to affect you in some way. I mean, it affects me, and it must affect you. And here we have the Warp Ring. Now, I know the Warp Ring has been a thing since the very first Sonic game. If you finish a level with at least 50 rings, it appears at the end of the stage, and that's how you enter the special stages. But the way he's using the Warp Ring in this trailer, it's exactly like the way that Dr. Finitivis would use the Warp Rings in the Archie Sonic the Hedgehog comic. So, like the people who made this movie they've done their homework. They know all of Sonic's various lores, and not just from the video games they've been playing, because this is a very iconic thing from the actual comic book series. So the fact that they're using references that could easily be pointed at from the comic books, and I'm gonna show like references from other media besides the video games. Like, this is an amalgamation Sonic. This is a Sonic that has a little bit of everything, and this is just showing that off. I just had to pick this particular screen cap because Sonic the Hedgehog reading a Flash comic, like, I want to see that crossover now. I want to see the Sonic the Hedgehog crossover with the DC universe, where let's have a speedster amalgamation. Let's have all the speedsters from various continuities come together. Maybe a little short film, maybe some Easter egg thing, like have a Quicksilver from the X-Men franchise, the Flash. Just for a mind freak, the other Quicksilver from the Avengers franchise. Let's have him come in too. Then Sonic, and I don't know how many other speedsters we've had, but you know, like bring in Speedy Gonzales and Roadrunner from the Looney Tunes. Bring in Velocity from Image Comics. There's plenty of speedster characters. Let's just get all the speedster characters to all appear in some kind of wacky short. I just want to see that. That's wonderful. Although for now, this is the closest thing we're going to get to a DC Sonic the Hedgehog crossover. And of course, like, he's also playing ping pong against himself on a homemade ping pong table. And that the ping pong table says Hilltop Road. Hilltop Zone is a stage from Sonic 2. So we see Green Hill, and from the previous trailer, he actually runs by Green Hills, which is, like I said, is a real place. So we have the real-life Green Hills, and now we have the real-life Hilltop Road. So yeah. So, yep, we're bringing in... Those are straight-up Genesis references. Like, the OG references right there, man. So, here we go. Okay, that nunchuck scene was adorable and a little bit hilarious. Kinda Ninja Turtles-esque. I'll accept it. Ninja Turtles was the only franchise that I was actually truly into before Sonic the Hedgehog came out. Remember, my conscious memories mostly begin when I was 4. That's when the Ninja Turtles came out. And then Sonic the Hedgehog came out when I was 6. So... You know, from 4 to 6, that was Ninja Turtles time, so just seeing nunchucks, I'm automatically going to think Michelangelo. But his forehead band has the Sonic the Hedgehog logo thing with the ribbon and the wings and the ring. That's it. And at this point, I decided to stop just looking for Easter eggs and references, because then I'll just be sitting here for hours. Hey, I'm recording this post-editing, and I just wanted to mention that this scene in the trailer actually has some of the music cues heard from the video games. So, it's a lot better to hear actual video game music in the trailer instead of Gangster's Paradise. Wouldn't you agree? Ah, yes, the one-player baseball game. I have a children's book. When I was a little kid, I had a children's book for Sonic the Hedgehog. And one of the scenes in that children's book was Sonic playing baseball with the neighborhood kids. This is when Sonic himself was a child. And Sonic would play by himself against a team of 9 other kids. And he still won. And furthermore, baseball seems to be a pretty important part. Like, there was an episode of Sonic X also dedicated to a game of baseball. So, Sonic playing baseball is a thing. It's a legitimate part of his lore as well. So there you go. But, next scene? That blackout. The blackout was in the first trailer. I don't think Sonic creating the power surge in the baseball diamond is what causes this blackout. I think, they're showing how Sonic's powers can cause surges that cause power outages. But I think this scene with the country going dark might be from a much later part of the movie, possibly a major action scene, and they're just splicing it in to this baseball diamond thing for the effect of a punchline. But I don't think that Sonic playing baseball against himself is going to make the country go dark. And the infamous meow scene. First of all, they took the meow out of the trailer. I think they wanted to distance themselves as much as possible from that. But since it is Sonic doing the same facial expression, we can see that he doesn't have creepy, overly humanized teeth. He doesn't have sharp hedgehog fangs. In fact, it looks like they're doing everything they can to try and have his lips cover his teeth as much as possible, which, is pretty natural. When I talk, I don't pull my lips all the way back and let you see my teeth like that. Like your lips naturally cover most of your teeth when you talk. That's just nature. Like, the only time that you really show your teeth is when you want to be when you're experiencing an excessive emotion, like when you're angry or when you're happy. But wow, that probably looked like the creepiest happy ever, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, like the whole somebody stuck Grandpa's dentures in Sonic's mouth thing, like that creepy, overly realistic tooth structure, like that's gone. So, hooray! I like this would have just been a minor mention, except for the fact that was the most infamous screenshot from the previous trailer, so I had to bring it up this time. This is a close look at one of Robotnik's Badniks, and well, I gotta say, if I were to compare these robots to anything, they look a lot like the Beetle robots from Sonic Adventure 2. You know, the robots that are made by GUN, not Robotnik's actual badniks, which have more of an animal inspiration. So this is what's leading me to believe that in this continuity, at least, Robotnik at first will be backed by the government. So, like, we're having Robotnik as a government scientist who potentially goes rogue or is allowed too much freedom, and again he goes rogue. Like we're having a Robotnik who ostensibly isn't obviously a villain at first. Like Robotnik in the video games and the comic books and the cartoons is always a mad scientist who's trying to conquer the world, or a mad scientist who has become a dictator after he conquered the world. Like, we have he's a rogue. He's a man trying to conquer the world on his own. Like, there's very little evidence that Robotnik ever has any kinds of backing. But this Robotnik, he seems to be a government employee. He's an inventor for the government. Whether he has his own agendas or not are not really clear, but he's operating with backing from a government organization, which, if it turns out to be GUN, the Guardian Unit of Nations, that would be awesome. I mean, it's probably not going to literally be the Guardian Unit of Nations, but, you know, it's all well and good. And I chose to screen cap it on the screaming Jim Carrey face, because that is a Jim Carrey reaction right there. I love Jim Carrey. I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan. I think he's awesome. And when he's playing, he introduces himself by name in this trailer, so he is Robotnik. He's gonna be Robotnik, not Eggman. But just seeing him do his over-the-top Jim Carrey-ness, like, you would recognize from his more iconic roles like Ace Ventura or The Mask, like, to see that Jim Carrey again, like, you know, it's not like I ever disliked Jim Carrey, but, the more understated Mr. Popper's Penguins Jim Carrey, or the more serious Kick-Ass 2 Jim Carrey. This is full-on living cartoon character Jim Carrey. And when you kind of have to be the antagonist to a cartoon, it kind of helps that you got an actor who can act like a cartoon. So I know a lot of people still don't think of Jim Carrey as a good fit for Eggman, mostly because, like, you know, Jim Carrey is thin, handsome, and has hair. Like, well, Eggman has a gigantic... Like, Eggman was originally supposed to be an anthropomorphic walrus, but they decided to make him a human. So, yeah, that's where the design comes from. So this is, like, the in-shape Eggman. Or I keep saying Eggman because I've been saying it for, like, 10 or 20 years now, but he's Robotnik. I get it, Robotnik. But yeah, like, the personality-wise, Jim Carrey would make a great Eggman. He'd make a great foil for Sonic in this movie, so I'm thinking Eggman will work. The world's biggest ball of rubber bands. Like, I chose to include this screen cap just because I like to see, like, Sonic has a pretty catastrophic case of ADHD. Like, that's just a fact. We all know it. And, I just find it, like, nice that, that we can have moments like this. And the funny thing is, I can't help but think about, when the guy's driving the car, he says, "This isn't some happy family road trip." And then Sonic runs out of the car and runs back in like, you're right, it wasn't that great. Gift shop was cool, though. Like, I can't help but feel that somehow that's a knock on the, on the Chipmunks movie. Like, I can't help but feel it. The Chipmunks, like, cause like one of the Chipmunks movie was outright the road chip. It was a family road trip movie with the Chipmunks, and Sonic just did it in a moment and said, "Meh, wasn't that great." So, like, I can't help but feel like that's meta commentary. So, yeah. I know that one's a little bit blurry, but there's so much movement that I couldn't really get a clean pause on it. I kind of love Jim Carrey dancing around. Like, first of all, this is our first good look at Robotnik's lair. We see his robots are on shelves waiting to be deployed. He has his big hovercraft in the background, and he's just dancing around, having the time of his life in there. Which is good, because Dr. Robotnik, he is pretty eccentric when you get down to it. Like, he's not a Mr. Burns type who sits in his chair with his fingers pinted, waiting for things to go on. Like, Robotnik likes to have fun. Remember, this is a man who builds killer death bases that look like carnival rides and casinos. This is a dude who likes to have fun. And Jim Carrey is clearly a guy who likes to have fun. And whoever his assistant is that gives him the coffees, like, it's nice to see the kind of relationship he has. Like, he's upset that he's been interrupted in his revelry, but he still appreciates the gesture. I love the way you make them! Like I want to be mad at you, but I really like your coffee! I can see that happen. And then came this scene. Sonic in a cowboy hat. Like, oh, wait, no, they couldn't be. Could they? Then we saw this. Yup, I had to do it. It's another reference. This is straight out of the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. I know I said I wasn't going to be pointing out Easter eggs, but this... Okay. There was an episode of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog which was set up like in Old West, where Sonic basically became the sheriff of an Old West style town, and he had on the cowboy hat and everything, and an oversized shirt. But there was a thing in that episode: Sonic could not shoot for crap. He literally could not hit the broadside of a barn. He took 2 pistols, walked up to within a few feet of a broadside of a barn, and emptied them, and there wasn't a mark on the barn. Sonic's a terrible shot. The only shot he actually managed to get was when he fired it, and then he outran the bullets and put the targets in their path before they hit. That's the only way that Sonic was able to score a hit with a gun. So Sonic's a terrible shot. And seeing how he threw all of the darts at the board and hit everything but the board, that has to be a reference to that. Because there is no way that they would have Sonic fail so epically at something unless they were directly making a reference to when he can't shoot. Like, Sonic has terrible aim. That's the thing. It makes you kind of wonder how he's able to pitch to himself when he's playing baseball, but I guess since he can actually adjust the bat's trajectory to wherever he threw the ball, he just has to vaguely get it over the plate. I decided to include that screen cap because it, more than anything else, looks like something from the video game. Like, specifically, it kind of looks like Sonic 2006. Like, no, I mean, in Sonic 2006, like, you could do, like, a power slide move, which would let you get under things, and, yes, it was a glitchy, crappy mess, but, you know, like, if it had been implemented properly, it would have been pretty good. And, I think the Hedgehog engine uses it, yeah, like, you can do it in Sonic Unleashed too, I believe. So, yeah, there are actual good games where Sonic does a power slide like that. And using it to get underneath a truck so he can escape a massive explosion, that's kind of awesome. I want to see that scene in full because that looks cool. It looks really cool. This movie looks cool. And finally we see Robotnik in his Robotnik gear. You know, like, he has the goggles, he has the red suit. Like, he doesn't have the big yellow triangle things, but that's fine. Like, this is Robotnik dressed like Robotnik. Now all he needs to do is lose the hair and have his mustache grow really huge, like when they had the teaser at the end of the last trailer. Like, I was floating a two Robotniks theory, like the Robotnik from Sonic's world and the Robotnik from this world were secretly working together across the dimensions. But at the end of that teaser trailer, they show how I took a closer look, and that Robotnik, despite having the much bigger mustache and bald head, like, he was wearing this exact outfit. One of the lenses on the goggles was cracked, the suit was a little scorched and it had a torn sleeve, but it was this outfit. So it's this outfit, but damaged, leading me to believe that we're going to a whole, as the movie progresses, Robotnik will look more and more like he looks in the video game. This could kind of be the origin story of Sonic the Hedgehog, like how it came to be that Sonic is being menaced by this one obsessed mad scientist. And I'd like to say he's the only human around, but I'm not sure how this, like, Sonic's continuity is so weird, because, like, in games like Sonic Adventure 2 and the Sonic Adventure games and Sonic Unleashed, like, they made it look like the world is mostly inhabited by human beings, and Sonic's anthropomorphic animal race is likely a minority. Like, not so rare that people freak out when they see one walking down the street because Amy can go home with groceries, but rare enough that you don't really see too many of them when you're just walking around. And then you have games like Sonic Forces, where it appears that the population is made entirely out of anthropomorphic animal people, and there's not a human in sight except for Dr. Robotnik himself. Like, that was always a weird thing. Like, you can never see streets that have, like, a fairly equal proportion of humans and animal people walking around. It's like all one or all the other. Like, do they live in segregated communities or something? That just seems weird. But I digress. We're just seeing Jim Carrey in the proper Eggman uniform. And now we get a proper look at that hovercraft with all the laser sights, and Sonic is glowing with blue energy in this scene, like he's almost ready to go Super Saiyan or something. This is leading me to believe that Sonic's super speed powers is being interpreted more as a speed force kind of thing, like the Flash's ability. I did mention how in the CW Flash TV series, Flash is able to temporarily pull people into Flash time with him, making temporary deputy speedsters, and how that was kind of similar to the double boost ability from Sonic Forces, where it seems that Sonic's speed is some kind of energy that he generates, which can be briefly shared with other people, or can be explosively released from his body all at once. Of course, like, this is giving Sonic legitimate speedster superhero powers instead of just making him a really fast hedgehog. But, you know, like I've always been on the bandwagon of Sonic is a superhero. So, you know, this looks pretty epic. Whatever happens in this scene, it looks like it'll be pretty exciting. And, you know, I almost wish I didn't have to mention this, but I had to put it in because, for God's sake, this scene where Sonic is all wrapped up in the hotel towels has already been the subject of Rule 63 and Rule 34. For God's sakes, the trailer has been out for less than a day. How do you weirdos get this out so fast? And that's all I'm going to say about it, because, quite frankly, I'm the more child-friendly YouTuber for Sonic, and I don't really want to get into that. And then a lot of the stuff in the trailer was just Sonic running and being shot at and running on the Great Wall of China. So, you know, Sonic running, awesome, but repetitive. But then there was a doggo! Sonic getting licked by a dog. Ah, I want to pet everything. Everything can be improved by putting a dog in it. I like dogs. So, yeah. So, that was my reaction to the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer. Sonic looks a lot better, and a bit more of the details of what's going to happen in the movie is plainly visible in this trailer. it's nice to see that we're gonna at least get some look at Sonic's world. Cause like the only hint we had of Sonic's own world was the very end scene with the more video game accurate Robotnik with the giant mushrooms in the background. But you're like, no, you're gonna get a fully realized movie quality Green Hill in this movie, and that's fantastic. I love that. Hooray! I have high degree of confidence that this movie will be enjoyable. Will it be actually good? I don't know. I can't say. I mean, as big a fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise as I am, and as much love and care as I see seems to have been put into this trailer, and and how the Paramount actually responded to fans and went so far as to change Sonic's look to make him look more accurate, I gotta say, I have a high degree, I don't know if it'll be a technically good movie, but it looks like it'll be a fun one. Remember, those two things aren't exactly, they don't need to be tied together, and they're not mutually exclusive either. They can correlate or not, but I really hope that it's going to be good, but I am almost certain that I'm going to enjoy it. So, I guess that's all I really have to say to this, and I hope you guys are looking as forward to this as I am. See you Valentine's Day.